Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I am so excited to get into today's craft because it is something that I have never done before and I have waited so long to do this. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your own DIY neon sign. So if you're interested in learning how I made that, keep watching. Okay guys, so for this craft, you're going to need quite a few things. So first, you're going to need some type of board. I had this piece of scrap wood that we used for another project already in my basement, so I didn't have to go out and buy wood or anything. You can obviously go out and buy some wood if you don't have any laying around, but I just used a piece of scrap wood that we already had. And you're obviously going to need your neon wire. Now, I ordered mine off of Amazon. It is a battery pack one. They do have fancier kits that have plug-in wires, so you can obviously shop around, but I decided to go with this one. And then you're going to need your acrylic paint. Now, I'm going to be painting the background of my wood black, and then I have pink because this wire is going to be pink, so you'll see what I'm doing with that later. And then I'm also going to be using this Sharpie brand paint marker. It's an oil-based marker. I love these. And then your paintbrush for your paint. And then I have a sponge brush to use for the black paint. And then I'm going to be securing my wire down with this liquid fusion. I love this stuff. I recommend this for all kinds of projects. And we get to have some extra fun today because we are going to be using some power tools. So I have my drill here. I obviously need to change out the bit, but you are going to need a drill for this also. All right, guys, so let's get started. First thing that we're going to do is we are going to paint our entire wood piece here black so that our neon really pops against the black background. And because I can't find my little project stand things, I'm just using some paper cups. So I'm going to put these paper cups underneath this wood here to hold it up while it dries. Okay, so now we are ready to paint. So I'm just putting some basic black acrylic paint on. So we're gonna go ahead and let this paint completely dry. So I will be back probably in about 20-30 minutes and it should be good to go and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so while that is finishing up drying, I'm just gonna walk you guys through what my plan is, and I feel like the best way to explain this ahead of time is for me to draw this out. So if this piece of paper is my board, and so essentially, I want my sign to say hustle, but this is one wire. So to separate these letters, or even to make them continuous, it would be really hard for me to just glue this entire wire to the front of the board and have it spell out hustle without there being any issues. So a way to break up how much you're gluing down at a time is to drill holes throughout the word so that the wire can go through the wood and up, or through it and go down, and then it'll be behind the board. So I've written out my word here. I know I'm going to have to drill a hole here, and the wire is going to come up and down, and then I'm going to have to drill another hole here for the wire to go down and under, so that makes one line. And then I would drill a hole here for the wire to come up, and then glue there, drill another hole for it to go down. So I know this looks really confusing, but I promise this works out. Through these holes, the wire is going to come through the board. So I'll have a wire here, a wire there, there, glued there, and so on and so forth. So the wire is going to look like that, broken up, but it looks like it's one word. So hopefully I didn't just confuse you further and that makes sense. All right, guys, now that our wood is dry, we are ready to trace out our word so that we can get ready to glue down our wire and drill all the holes that are necessary. So you can use a pencil for this. Today I'm using this chalk marker. And I know that's cut off at the end, so I just added a heart to the end of that because I think it's super cute. Okay, so now that we are done drawing out a word here, now we are going to paint over this so that when the sign is off, it still looks like a cute sign. And I did not like the way my H looked compared to the rest of my letters. So I just took some water on a paper towel and wiped off the chalk as much as I could. And now I'm just putting a tiny bit of black paint that was left on my brush over where I erased, just so that spot doesn't look different than the rest of the sign. Okay, so now that we are done drawing out our word, now we are ready to paint over this. And the reason why I paint over this and I don't just start gluing down my wire is that I want this sign to look good even when it's off. So I've just taken some pink acrylic paint and I poured it in the paint bottle cap, and I'm just using this paintbrush and I'm just going to trace over my word. I also want to say that even if you are not good at like freehanding, painting, or even like where I just traced out my word, you could also buy pre-made stencils offline and you can make your own. Like if you have a Cricut or a Silhouette or something, you could make your own stencil if you're not comfortable freehanding. Okay guys, so we're going to let this completely dry 100%, and then we're going to come in and we're going to basically write our word again, having the white right in the center. That way it almost looks like it's glowing and the neon is really going to pop against the white. Okay guys, so our paint is completely dry and now we're ready to add our white oil-based Sharpie paint marker. Okay guys, so hopefully you guys can see that where we went in the middle with the white marker. So while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and get my drill ready, change out my drill bit, and set up where I'm going to be drilling my holes in the board. Okay guys, so we have all of our holes drilled, so now we are ready to attach our wire to the board. Okay, so now I'm ready to put our wire through the first hole, and what I like to do is just go ahead and pull the entire wire through. So basically what we're going to do is, because we have all of our extra wire out now, we're just going to be poking it through the holes, laying down some of this liquid fusion glue, and then putting down our wire and just kind of holding it and then put it through the next hole. Okay, so I have my first line of glue. And just like we did with this, but going the other direction, I'm poking the wire through the wood. And then I'm just going to pull it all the way through. And I just kind of hold it up while I pull. That way I don't like smear the glue all around. So as you can see, we have our first line. So you're just going to keep doing that. And that's where I recommend drawing out your word beforehand, like we did on the piece of paper. And I mapped out where all of the holes I was going to be drilling was, so that you can kind of strategize where your wire is going to go, where it needs to come up through the hole or down through it. Okay, and then what I like to do is put tape to kind of hold it down. If it's not completely dry, it'll hold it in place, and then you can just peel off the tape later, and if we have to touch something up, then we can, but then we didn't have to sit here and like hold this the entire time we were working. Okay guys, so I put some tape down because I was tired of holding all of the wire down as I was trying to go. So just to speed up the process, I started taping it down. Worst case scenario, if we peel it up and some paint comes up, we can just touch that up as we go. But like I said, that's worst case scenario, so hopefully it'll be okay. So we're just gonna peel all this up and then we'll see how it looks and I'll show you the next step. All right, you guys, so there is our sign. So it looks like there's only a couple of spots where I want to touch up the pink, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of black acrylic paint and go over where there's like spots where glue kind of smeared because it made that shiny and it looks kind of weird against the matte paint. So we're gonna touch this up and then I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like all set up. Okay guys, so here's the finished sign. So I'm about to set it up on the shelf. I just put some batteries in my battery pack. I'm going to be attaching this to the back and then taking care of the rest of this wire. So here is the back. As you can see, we have leftover wire, but this is what it looks like. I'm just attaching a command strip to the back of this battery pack, and then I'm going to attach it to the wood. But this is where you would hang some fixtures if you were going to be hanging this up on a wall. I am just leaning this on a shelf, and that's why I made it the size that I did, because it's going to fit on my shelf perfectly. So I'm just going to stick this here. And as far as this extra wire goes, I could find a way to secure this, but I'm just going to tuck it underneath this other wire that is already secured down through the front, so that when we set this on the shelf, it'll be good to go. Now, obviously you get what you pay for when it comes to this neon wire. Obviously it's not going to be as good a quality as a neon fluorescent glass sign, but for a fraction of the cost, and this is going to sit on my shelf anyways, and I think it looks cute as is, it's okay. But I will say, when you turn this on in the light, you barely see it, but when it's in the dark, it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like in the dark real quick, and then I'm going to show you guys what it looks like all set up on my shelf. So we are in my closet in my office, so I'm going to turn on this light so you guys can see what it looks like. So that's what it looks like in the dark. So in the dark, it looks pretty cool, but in the daylight, you don't really see the light at all. So the light is still on, you can just barely see it because I'm standing in front of a window. So like I said, it looks great in the dark, but you can't really see it when there's any light in the room. And there it is on my shelf. So as you guys can see, if I hadn't painted behind the wire, you would barely be able to see that. So I think painting behind it just makes all the difference. It makes it look like it's a real neon sign, even if it's not on. I cannot tell you how excited I am that I finally made the sign. As always, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to drop a comment down below. If you like this video as much as I like creating it, please let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. And don't forget to click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any other crafting tutorials.